Hey guys. Hang on, let me make sure that it actually went live. Yes, it did. Okay. Um, oh, bother. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry. Okay, I had a request to do a live stream tonight. Well, to go over this test thing anyway. Yeah, I was going to post the link to Discord in case anybody wanted to watch, but it's been here we go. Sorry, it has been a long day on top of a long week. It's like I was so exhausted. I got up this morning and thought, I don't know if I could do this, and then said to myself, don't worry, it's Friday, you can do it. And then I'm like, wait, no, it's Wednesday. Oh, so anyway, I mixed a drink to help me out, help me get through this. Although I've found different alcohols do different things to me. I never drink very much at a time, but even just a little bit. And this is a drink with vodka in it. And vodka tends to make me mean. So towards the end of the test, I may get rather sharp. So we'll see. Okay. So, yes, this is the dichotomy test. I'm sure you've seen other people taking it. We'll see how this goes. Oh, hello. Yeah. Hagnar the Viking. I'm not sure how you pronounce the first name, but yes, Hagnar is the one that requested this. So, okay. Anyway, it says it should take 13 minutes to take the test. I don't know if you saw that. I'm not believing it. It's partly because I'm going to be talking through it. And I might have some weird answers, but if you know me, if you've watched me, you know I'm going to be weird anyway. Okay. I would rather find true love than be wealthy. See, that one is actually a little more difficult for me because I don't believe in the modern concept of true love. I believe in love, yes, but I firmly believe love is hard work. If you love someone, you're going to have to work hard to make it work. Ask anyone who's been married for, say, 10 years or more, and they will tell you it is hard work. So to say, oh, find true love, I mean, that's like saying, I want my Prince Charming to come. It's like, that's not going to happen. So anyway, this question, you can't really answer it because I don't believe... it depends on what you mean by true love, but as it is generally defined, true love, my soulmate, my perfect other, the man that completes me, that doesn't exist. So, yeah, it's kind of like, would you rather have a pet unicorn or a pet bearded dragon? Well, unicorns don't exist. Anyway, okay, yeah. First question, and I'm already not having difficulty getting through it. Okay, so I would rather find true love than be wealthy. Well, again, would I rather Prince Charming come and sweep me off my feet, or would I rather have the castle to live in by myself? I don't know. If true love exists, yes, I would. I guess, would I like to find a great guy for me with whom I would be happy? Yes, I would much rather that than be wealthy. So I'm going to say agree. Okay. I would rather be given an expensive car than save the life of a starving child. No, that's an easy one. Absolutely not. I would rather receive money than gifts. Me, yes. I don't like gifts. I could go maybe a different stream on this, but I actually have an emotional problem with gifts because I had a person in my life who would use gifts as a means of manipulation, and so it's going to sound weird, but I was actually psychologically, I wouldn't say abused, but psychologically manipulated using gifts it was very unpleasant. So for years, anybody that gave me a gift, it would turn me off big time. I would just like, whoa, no, I mean, I would get stressed just when people would give me gifts, and it was very difficult to just smile and say thank you. So all of my siblings knew, don't give Elizabeth gifts. So, in this case, yes, I would rather get money than gifts. I have nothing against gifts. This is me personally. So, I mentioned, by the way, when someone said, oh, you should do this test, I said, I'm going to be pretty weird. Just giving you fair warning. Okay, I would rather be in a sexual relationship without intimacy than in an intimate relationship without sex. This is going to be strongly disagree. 2 reasons. Well, I don't believe in sex outside of marriage. And it's interesting to see that more and more people are waking up to that, if for no other reason than the #MeToo movement. So, no. But even if you said, okay, I would rather be in a marriage that had awesome sex and no intimacy than be intimate with no sex. And again, no, I think that to have a happy life, you need to be able to be intimate with people. Whereas sex, yeah, that's nice, but I don't know. I feel like a sexual relationship without intimacy would be more like living a life of doing drugs rather than facing your problems. Yeah, you're going to be happy while you're on the drugs, but you're going to be miserable the rest of the time. So, no, strongly disagree. There is no inherent meaning to life. Again, strongly disagree. I think there is meaning to life. And the answer to that would be a long answer. McCarthy list says, I don't believe in marriage outside of sex. I assume you mean outside of. So, yes. I think most people who've watched my channel or know me know that I'm a Christian. I've already said in the stream, so yes. I'm sorry. I am so tired. It's been such a long week. So please excuse me if I repeat myself or whatever. Anyway, it's interesting that the scriptural view does say that sex is to some degree a requirement within marriage, in that if the husband wants sex, the wife is not allowed to forbid it. Within certain boundaries. Similarly, if the wife wants sex, the husband is not allowed to forbid it. Again, within certain boundaries. So the idea of having a marriage without sex would be unheard of if you're living a Christian life. Anyway. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I thought I was going to cough there. Okay. A world without color is far darker than a world without order. So this is, again, one I could have fun with this, because I'd say, well, what about people who are colorblind? The question or the statement needs to be, it needs better definition. Okay. A world without color is far darker than a world without order. No. Because you think about it, a world without color, again, it depends on what you mean. If it's totally black and white, yeah, if you just, it'd be kind of like, think of the Valley of the Blind. If you had a whole community of people who were completely blind, you'd say, oh, I guess it would be very dark. Definitions, I need definitions. Trying to think. See, a world without color, but even there, it wouldn't necessarily be dark if you can see everything in black and white. That's funny to me because people have always told me, oh, you just see everything in black and white. There are no grays. But it's like, yeah, okay, but see, gray is not technically a color. I'm going to say no. I'm just going to disagree, not strongly disagree. Society will always need a strong authority. No. And again, it depends on what you mean by authority. I think that the most important form of government in existence is self-government. People have to be able to govern themselves. People need self-control. You need to be able to control your own desires, to control your own urges, to control yourself, to do the right thing and not do the wrong thing. So society will be strongest when self-governance is strongest. So that would not be a central authority. When you say we'll always need a strong authority, if you mean one single central authority, no, absolutely not. I strongly disagree. Society needs to have authority. There needs to be, there needs to be authority, and that there needs to be a sense of right and wrong, and people need to have a strong sense of self-governance. They need to, but if the way this is worded makes me think a strong authority, makes me think they mean one single central authority, and I'm going to say no, strongly disagree. You could get into God as a supreme authority who writes the laws for the nations, and that I agree. So I guess in some ways you could say that, whatever, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Otherwise we get the EU, yeah. Paris must be great for Liz right now. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm just glancing at the chat now. Oh, they don't mean it socially, they mean the state. Okay, see, yeah, strong state authority, no, absolutely not. You don't need that. If you have the interesting thing about governance is there should be self-governance, and then there's family governance, there's community/church governance, and then there is state governance, or governments, depending on how you're looking at it. Interestingly enough, the weaker self-governance is in a society, the stronger the civil governance is in a society. And the stronger the self-governance is in a society, the less strong you need the central civil government to be. If people take care of themselves, you don't need a strong central government. If people will not take care of themselves, and meaning do the right thing and not do the wrong thing, then they want a strong, or people that just don't want to take care of themselves, don't want to make their own decisions, don't want to take responsibility, they really want a strong central authority to tell them what to do. It's interesting. I've noticed, because I came out of a legalistic religious background, where so many of the people there strongly legalistic, where they just had rules for everything. Think Seventh-day Adventists, but they weren't Seventh-day Adventists, but like that, where it's just very firm. Must do this, you must do this, you mustn't do this, you mustn't do that. Every aspect of life is laid out for you. Here's what you must do. There is no responsibility in that. All you have to do is just follow these rules. There's no, you don't have to make decisions for yourself. Every time, if you want to do something, you don't have to make a choice. You already know, because someone has already dictated to you, here's what you're going to do. So people who have weak wills, or who just don't want to take responsibility for themselves, love the strong central authority, because they'll tell them what to do and force them to do it. And then it's like, oh, well, you did the wrong thing. Well, it wasn't my fault. I was told to do that. So, yeah. Excuse me. If you hear the dragons are making noise in the background, if they get to be too distracting, say something. Yeah. Anyway. Let's see. I believe in some form of spiritual afterlife. Yes, strongly agree. If I had to choose, I would save myself instead of a loved one. Strongly disagree. This isn't purely altruistic. They're going to interpret it that way, but it's not. I'm not going to go into the reasoning behind that one. We'll just leave that one. The ends usually justify the means. Actually, I would say strongly not. No. It's because the way you do something is right or wrong. What you're doing is right or wrong. And to say, oh, well, as long as we're getting a good outcome, then we can use whatever means necessary to get there. No. It's kind of like, think of if the law said that oh, no, okay, that's a horrible example. I'm trying to think of an example that's not horrible. Yeah, no. Okay, and actually, to be honest, the way they've worded it, it would be very difficult to give an example that would refute this, because they say usually, which is very good, because if they said always, everybody would be like, no, of course not. But usually, no. The ends and the means they're related in that they come one from the other, but they're not related in right and wrong. No. The means you use is something, the ends you achieve is something else. So to say that one justifies the other, no, it doesn't. No. So, strongly disagree. The ends will never justify the means. Well, no, okay. The ends will very rarely justify the means. I mean, for example, I believe lying is wrong. However, there are situations where, to save the life of somebody, the Nazis coming through homes and saying, are there any Jews here? And Christians or non-Christians, whatever, people hiding the Jews were saying, nope, there's no Jews here. Well, they were lying, but they were doing that in order to save people's lives. So there are cases where the ends justify the means, but I feel like those are more rare. So yeah, generally speaking, no, the ends don't justify the means. What's that? What happens if you and your loved ones conflict and want to save each other or to save themselves? Yeah, okay, like I said, I'm not going into that one. I'm just, I could have fun with it. I'm not doing it, though. Okay, I would rather live a life of personal pleasure than settle down and have children. For me, settling down and have children would be personal pleasure. That's not a dichotomy. Yeah, I mean, all my life, ever since I was young, I wanted to have kids. In fact, it's kind of funny. When I was little, I wanted to have a lot of kids. And then I found out that having children is incredibly painful. And growing up, I was not good with pain. I hated pain. Now I can take a fair bit of pain it's not a big deal. But I hated pain when I was a little kid. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. So I decided I'm just going to adopt. But I knew I wanted a lot of kids, and I thought, whoa, if I'm adopting, I don't have to worry about how many, so I decided I'm going to have 100 kids. So all the way up until I was in my early teens, I was going to essentially have my own orphanage. I was going to adopt 100 kids when I grew up. And then I got to be a teenager and realized, that's probably not realistic. I'm probably not going to find a man that wants 100 kids. And at that point, I was like, yeah, I can take the pain of childbirth. It's just, it's not, especially with modern medicine, I am totally good with the I can't remember what it is. It's late. I'm tired. So anyway, whatever the medicine is to take away the pain, I'm totally okay with that. The epidural, that's it. So anyway, so I said, no, I just want 12 kids and I'm going to have them naturally. And people said, you're still never going to find a guy who wants 12 kids. I'm like, well, at least it's better than 100. I'm like, no. So I'm still single. And people joked with me that that's why, because I wanted so many kids. But anyway, so for me, there's no dichotomy there. Live a life of personal pleasure rather than settle down and have children. That's always been my dream. At this point, I'm old enough that I kind of doubt I'm going to find a guy, and even if I do, I'm probably not going to have kids, or at least not many. So again, there's no dichotomy there. So going by the literal interpretation, I would rather, I'm just going to have to say neutral, because again, those two are the same thing to me. So, Liz the homemaker. Yeah, that was always my dream. Yeah. See. Oh, okay. No, yeah, sorry, still reading the chats. Okay. Okay, life is suffering and fundamentally meaningless. No, I don't believe in either one. I don't believe either one of those. Okay. When making a decision, the underlying reasoning is always more important than the consequences. Strongly disagree, because this is essentially saying, oh, if you have good intentions, then you're good. It doesn't matter what happens as long as you had good intentions. This is why when I was watching, NSO was doing this stream, the same thing a little bit ago. And when he came to this one, he's like, no. And I'm like, that's basically, yeah. Anyway, I said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's, no. So absolutely not. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That one, I feel like you need more definition. I agree with it, but if you just take it in principle as it is normally, as normally is meant nowadays, yeah, and I would agree with that. It's just, again, it really depends on how you're defining the words. As it is typically used, because there'll be a lot of people will say this just in common parlance nowadays, as people mean it when they use it nowadays, yes, I absolutely agree. So I'm just going to say I agree. Okay. I don't know why people talking about Soros. Back to Soros again. I don't know what we're talking about. I've never studied George Soros. I know some about him, but not a lot. So I don't know why you'd have to explain why you're bringing him up and how it applies to this. Okay. There is more to the world than mere material. Yeah, strongly agree. Most people are inherently selfish. Yes, I strongly agree. We should strive toward a utopian society. I don't like the word utopian. I do believe we should strive to make society better. And it's kind of like, there's this, I don't know, it's really stupid saying that people would say, and they say, shoot for the moon and at least you'll land among the stars. Now, even if you miss, at least you'll land among the stars. Even as a kid, that frustrated me, because I'm like, the stars are further than the moon, so you won't. Anyway. But again, going by the concept, essentially aim for perfection and hope that you land somewhere nearby. So, was Jesus selfish? Let's see. Well, it doesn't say all, it says most. Most people are inherently selfish. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay, yeah, I had to go back and check that question. Don't people tend to use the extraordinary, etc. thing as an argument against God? Yes. But think about it. What do you consider to be an extraordinary claim? Flat earthers will say the idea that the earth is round is an extraordinary claim, and they require extraordinary evidence, and you haven't produced any that fit their definition. Whereas people who don't believe the earth is flat will say, okay, flat earth, and that's an extraordinary claim. We need extraordinary evidence. So to someone who, I believe that the belief in God is to some degree a presupposition. So if you believe in God, you would say, I need extraordinary evidence to prove that God doesn't exist. Because if you look at the world that exists, how can you explain the existence of information? Yes, you could, anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. But to someone who believes in God, you would say the idea that there is no God is an extraordinary claim. To someone who doesn't believe in God, they say the idea that there is a God is an extraordinary claim. So it gets a little complicated. And, this will bring up the was Jesus a man argument. No, it won't, because again, it says most, it doesn't say all. So it doesn't matter. Yes, he was. We should strive toward a utopian society. And in this, I don't believe we will ever reach a utopian society, but I do believe, yes, if we should strive toward what we believe would be the closest we can get to perfection, if you will. So yes, utopian. We're not going to get there, but it's kind of like head in that direction. Even if you don't get... Sorry. Blaze really wants attention. Hang on. One sec. Okay. What? I want you to get into it. That's why I've asked you for the quiz. Stop your self-control. Well, I'm getting into some of them. I don't know which ones you want. Let's see. We should strive toward... Yeah, see, how long have I spent on this one question? So yes, we should strive toward. I don't believe we'll ever reach it, but yes, we should head in that direction to the best of our abilities. And I think other people who were saying this were like, oh, well, we'll never reach utopia, so we should just sort of strive towards what we think is better. I'm like, what's the difference? Anyway, sometimes we must suffer in the present so that we can have a better future. Again, yes, absolutely. Interesting... Baby, oh my goodness. Sorry, hey, look. Settle down. Settle down. Hey. I don't know what his deal is. He's just being very... Okay, sometimes we must suffer in the present so we can have a better future. Interestingly enough, there was somebody I was listening to who said, legitimate pleasures you pay for ahead of time, illegitimate pleasures you pay for afterward. And he was talking about, like, if you... Say you buy a new car or something like that, you get something, or sex inside of marriage or whatever. If you put the work into earning something and then you acquire it, that's a legitimate pleasure. Whereas if you take something you didn't pay for, you didn't earn essentially, then you're going to end up paying for it afterwards, say potentially with jail time. And this guy was actually using it talking about drugs. He said getting high and whatever, then you suffer afterwards. Getting drunk, you suffer the hangover and whatnot afterwards. So he's like, oh, so that's an illegitimate pleasure. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't agree with. So I don't agree with everything he was saying, but the concept, legitimate pleasures you pay for ahead of time, illegitimate pleasures you pay for afterwards. In general, I like that concept. So yes, sometimes we must suffer in the present so that we can have a better future. Yes, essentially you suffer through hard work to earn that which you desire. So yeah, strongly agree. See, you can see I'm pretty black and white. I'm a strongly agree, strongly disagree, one or the other. I mean, it's very rarely in the middle. No actions are inherently moral or immoral. I think that is... Oh, Lady with Dragons to create a utopian society. Yeah. Hey, settle down. I don't know why he's being so hard. Hey, you want to say hi? Yeah. He's a pretty boy. Anyway, no actions are inherently moral or immoral. This again comes down to definitions. The action in and of itself is not. You think about it. I'm going to use an extreme situation to explain why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I recognize this is an extreme example. But they've already developed, to some degree, brain implants, if you will, that can read brain signals and potentially influence brain reactions or whatever. So let's say, for example, that eventually there comes a time where we can have implants that literally control the actions of a person. Not their thoughts, but their actions. So you can force a human to perform an action. Just literally by controlling their brain. Is the action that they performed immoral? Or moral or immoral? Just because they performed it. Well, the person causing them to do the action, if what they're doing is bad, then yeah, the person behind it is doing something immoral. But the person doing it is not necessarily. So it's not necessarily the act itself. That's why it goes back to... It goes back to definitions. What do you mean when you say this? So many of these, it's so difficult to judge just reading what they have written. You'd need to actually flesh it out. And I know this is me being a bit autistic. But, so no actions are inherently moral or immoral. I'm actually going to say I agree with that. There are definitely things that are done that are absolutely immoral. And, but the act of doing it it's more the reasoning behind it. You think about killing someone. Is killing someone immoral? Well, it depends. Why did you kill them? Is if somebody's coming at me with a knife or pulls a gun on me and I pull my gun and I'm a quicker shot and I shoot them and kill them, that's not immoral. That's self-defense. If trying to think, is killing someone's pet immoral? Well, it depends. Was the pet run over by a car? It is barely alive. It is suffering, and you're putting it down to ease its suffering. No, that's not immoral. Is having sex immoral? Well, if it's non-consensual, yeah, totally. But if it's consensual, no. So, and again, I would say within the confines of marriage. But anyway, so no action in and of itself is necessarily moral or immoral. There's much more around the action. There is intent, there is surrounding circumstances. I can't think of any action that is inherently moral or immoral. I mean, even the closest thing I can think of is torture. But if you want to say, but again, if you just dissect the individual pieces, you think, okay, those are not necessarily moral or immoral, the individual pieces, depending on what's going on. I mean, I personally have a problem with BDSM, but I'm not going to say it's immoral, again, if it's consensual, depending. I haven't studied it, so there may be some things in there that I would say, nope, always immoral. I don't know. So, to my knowledge, no action that I can think of is in and of itself moral or immoral, divorced from context. So, I'm going to say strongly agree. Okay. Okay. Hang on. Soros is Jewish. Helped the Nazis take everything from the Jews. He said it was the best time of his life. Yeah. Okay. I didn't say BDSM is wrong. I said I have a personal problem with it. It's kind of like I have a personal problem. There's a little girl. I can't remember where, but some TV thing did a special on her. There's a little girl who raises cockroaches, and they are her pets. I have a problem with cockroaches. I am not arachnophobic. I hate spiders. I don't like them, but I'm not afraid of them. Cockroaches, on the other hand, ugh, those things are just nasty. So I'm not going to say it's immoral. So same thing with, anyway. Your kinks are your business. I don't care. Reason is more important than emotion. No. I would say that reason and emotion are equally important because reason alone... It's kind of, I'm trying to think of again how to explain, how to, see, and I told you, this thing says it takes 13 minutes. I've been going for twice that long, and I'm only 20 questions in. Okay, reason is more important than emotion. So, yeah, no, they are both equally important. I have a sister, I tend to be very, very logical, and my decisions have very little emotion attached to them. I have a sister who is the exact opposite. She's very, very emotional and has very little logic. Well, compared to me, has little logic attached to her decisions. It's more emotions. And we have found that we do the best when we work together because she is incredibly good with people, so good with relationships, relating to people and helping people in that way. And she can be a huge support to people emotionally. I'm not good at that because I can't relate to people well. I don't have that emotional strength. Now, I am very good with arguments. So I've had, again, I came out of a legalistic, pretty rough, anyway, coming out of that, there were others who were also coming out. And they would often come and talk to me and say, help me understand this. I feel like this is right, but I know in my head, I feel like this is right, but I don't understand because this is what I've been taught. And I say, no, here. And I will work through it logically with them, going through the scriptures. That's one reason, I can argue Christianity very well because I have studied the scriptures very well, and I would argue with people coming out of this and explain them. No, even because they still believe the scriptures. But they're like, but I've been taught that this is what the Bible says, and I say, okay, well, let's look at what does the Bible actually say. So I'm very good with reason. Others are very good with emotion. You have to have both. You have to have both. You can't have, all reason and no emotion makes people robots with no free will. All emotion with no reason is just not pretty. So you have to have both. So when it says reason is more important than, I'm going to say strongly disagree. Now, that is not to say emotion is more important than, it's to say they're equal. But I strongly disagree that either is more important than the other. Okay. I'm going to, anytime I go on a long tangent, I'm trying to check on the chat just to see. Can you have reason without emotion? Yes. Yes, you can. And I believe that that's more the more severe forms of autism, where they just you see people there who essentially or seem to have no emotion. I don't know if they literally have no emotion. I mean, think of psychopaths, actual for real psychopaths, not as they're commonly said. Oftentimes, I guess they have no empathy. It's not that they have no emotions; they have no empathy. But you have actual disorders where people just don't. The emotional side just doesn't work. It's not that there's something inherently immoral about the person, but there is something wrong with the person. Their brain just doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. So yes, you can have reason without emotion. It's just not healthy. Okay, what question are we on? We're on 21. Oh, yeah. Okay, it is foolish to believe a claim if there is no evidence to back it up. I think you can absolutely can believe a claim if there's no evidence to back it up, but it depends. See, you'll never. I'm not sure if it's possible to believe something with no reason to back it up, because you have to have some reason for the thought to enter your mind. I think the only other thing is, say, inception, essentially. Something just comes to you for no reason, and you're like, whoa, I just had a thought. And something just came to you for no reason. That almost never happens. So outside of that, it'd be like, again, say my sister came over and said, oh my goodness, I don't know, Brad Pitt just married some woman. I don't watch actors and stuff, or many movies, so I don't. But she says this. Okay, there. I guess my evidence there would be that she told me. I have no evidence that it's real other than the fact that she told me. So I wouldn't have a problem believing it because But in that case, I guess I believe her. So is her word considered evidence? So this kind of goes back to definitions again. You can believe something with no evidence, and it's not foolish. I think it would be foolish to hold dogmatically to something with no evidence or with no reason to believe it. It kind of goes back to how do you define evidence? I mean, okay, I'm going to give kind of a little crazy example, but I had a boyfriend once that we actually got engaged, okay? Fortunately, we figured out we weren't right for each other before we made it permanent. But at one point, we had an argument where he said, I don't believe that you love me. And I said, well, I don't know what you want me to do about that. He says, I need you to prove it. I'm like, you can't prove that you love someone. It's not possible. And so there are things where you can believe with no evidence, if you will. Do you believe this person loves you? And you say, well, I see this or I see that, or more like, okay, do I believe that I love this person? See, that'd be even better. Do I have any evidence that I love them? The only evidence I have are my own feelings. So yeah, it's not necessarily foolish. It's not foolish to believe a claim if there's no evidence. It depends on the claim. It depends on what is your burden of proof. How do you define evidence? And it depends on what are you doing with that belief. Again, if you're wrapping your life around some claim for which you have no evidence, it can be rather dangerous. So this one's going to be a disagree. It's not going to be a strong disagree. I don't know if I'm ever going to get through this. If it gets too late, I'm just going to have to stop because I actually do have other things I have to do tonight. Okay. Glancing at the chat again. Yeah. Can confirm some autists operate purely on logic over emotions. Yeah. This. I don't regret asking you to do this. Okay. I'll tell you, if Hagnar the Viking decides to, okay, this has gone on long enough, I'm bowing out, then I may just end the stream. Okay. It just occurred to me, this is how I solve algebra equations. Oh, okay. Yeah. Reason with no emotions. Yes. Yeah. It's foolish to believe something in contradiction to evidence, not where there's no evidence. Yes, I would agree with that. Okay. Blaze is finally settling down. Chad can tell me. I have two dragons that somebody else, he had them as pets. He raised them, like, they were half grown. They were like 6 months old, and then he couldn't keep them anymore, so I got them from him. So he named them, and the boy's name is Blaze, which at the beginning I thought, oh, that's such a cool name, and then I realized, wait, you're calling a dragon Blaze? It just feels cheesy, but he kind of knows his name, so I'm not going to change it. He's a sweetheart. But it is, when people say, oh, what's his name? I'm like, Blaze, and I didn't name him. So, anyway. Oh, yeah, he hears me talking about him, so he's watching me now. Okay, he's finally settling down a little bit. Okay, my mental well-being is more important to me than material possessions. This is an absolutely yes. And the reason is I used to struggle to a huge degree with depression, anxiety. I would have panic attacks. So I know what it's like to not have mental well-being. I feel like most people just sort of take it for granted. And when they say, oh, my mental well-being, they're thinking, oh, my happiness. No, it's like my literal sanity is a lot more important to me than material possessions. Okay, I don't have, I still struggle with some emotional issues to some degree, but nothing like it used to be, fortunately. But having been without mental well-being, or, with very poor mental well-being, I can tell you, no. Yes, my mental well-being is much more important than my material possessions. If you've ever been without, I feel like most people would agree. Okay, selflessness is a virtue. No, I would say selfishness is a vice, but I would not say selflessness is a virtue. It depends. That one, I really feel like we need better definition. So I'm kind of going to disagree on that. I might be wrong. I should probably have said neutral. Our society is fundamentally flawed and in need of radical reform. Technically speaking, in the truest senses of what exactly you've said there, I would strongly agree. Society is fundamentally flawed because society is made up of people. People are fundamentally flawed. People aren't perfect. No group of people is ever going to be perfect. The legalists are striving for that. It's like, we can reach perfection. Just everybody do exactly like this. And it's like, you're never going to get there. You're never going to get there. Fundamentally flawed? Yes. Yes, just by nature of it being humans. It's going to be flawed. And fundamentally so. It's never going to be, it's naturally flawed. It's not some outside influence that is making it flawed. It's because we're people. Okay, in need of radical reform. I don't like the radical, but outside of that, immediate reform, yeah. It's kind of like, are we going to strive toward a utopian society? Yes. Are we ever going to get there? No. But we'll keep trying. So yes, society is always going to be flawed and always in need of reforms. Semper reformanda. Anyway, ignore that. I don't like the word radical, but right now, yeah, I think we need radical reform. I don't think that needs to be instantaneous, and I don't think it's going to come very quickly. But, yeah, it is fundamentally flawed. It is in need of reform. That's not saying, oh my goodness, it's so bad. It's saying that's the nature of society. So, torn between agree and disagree just because of the word radical. And I think I'm going to go with strongly agree. But, yeah. Anyway, what did he say? Yeah. Little diddle is no. She's insane, but can act and pretend to have sanity. Yep. Okay, what's that? Some loss of sanity you can never recover from. Yeah, that's true. I can never be sure I'm not still locked in the mental institute, and this entire time isn't just a figment of my imagination. Yeah, it is true to some degree. You have to be able to trust your own senses. So, I mean, all life to some degree is based on faith in your own senses as being an accurate representation of reality. So, yes. Anyway. I prefer friendships that help me grow as a person as opposed to ones that are exciting. I don't like things that are exciting. And to me, that goes back to having struggled with depression, anxiety attacks. I was practically bipolar, so for a while I went on antidepressants that their whole purpose was just to level out my emotions. So I never had highs, I never had lows, which was miserable because I was never happy, but I was never sad. I was just like like a machine. It was very unpleasant. And eventually I came off of that, and now I kind of I self-regulate. So I just have to keep my emotions under control, which is one reason if you see my streams, I say I don't like to get upset. I hate things that make me angry. I hate things that I don't like getting upset because I have to be able to regulate my emotions. Otherwise I risk being thrown into that, either depression or anxiety attacks or something like that. I have to be careful. So I don't like things that are exciting. They're not good for me. So I prefer friendships that help me grow as a person. Yes! Because this is asking, I prefer. This is not, this is better. This is, I prefer. Yes, I strongly agree. I prefer things that help me grow as a person rather than things that are exciting. I don't like things that are exciting. Okay. There's an underlying morality in everything we do. No. And I would strongly disagree. And I jokingly said on NSO's stream, I said, oh, whether I choose Terran or, it is more, what is it? It is more moral to choose Terran than Zerg in SC2, which he didn't know what StarCraft 2 was. Anyway, that's okay. He's young. Moving on. So no, but let's say I'm playing StarCraft and I'm trying to decide, do I want to play Terran or Zerg or Protoss? And it's like, if I'm playing co-op, I'm definitely playing Protoss. If I'm playing Versus, I'm playing Zerg. If I'm playing campaign, it depends. I don't like the Protoss campaign. So no, there are definitely some things that have no morality. It's like whether I choose which race I choose to play in StarCraft, or do I choose to play Kingdom New Lands or Dota 2. There is no fundamental morality in which one I do. Now, some people would argue whether you play video games or not. That's a moral question. I don't believe it is, but you could argue that. But if you're playing a video game, do I expand my base? That's a moral question. No, it's not. So, no. When you say there's a more underlying morality in everything we do, no. Is there an underlying morality in how much ice I put in my drink? No, I don't think there is. I didn't put enough ice in it, by the way. Okay. Without music, life would be a mistake. No, because there are a lot of people who are deaf and have wonderful lives. Now, I love music. I am one that I sing all the time. In fact, my roommate, like I think the first week she was here, I was walking through and I was singing. She's like, oh, are you singing? And I just kind of looked at her almost like, are you insane? And then I realized, oh, she doesn't know me. I was like, yeah. And I just went on. And she quickly figured out, I sing all the time. I'm washing dishes. I'm walking through the house. I'm getting ready for bed. I'm doing anything. I'm almost always singing. So, yeah, life without music for me would be horrible. But no, you can live without music. So, no, life would not be a mistake without. If it was, you'd have to argue that all children who are born deaf, or children who they can tell in the womb that they're going to be born deaf, they should be aborted. And I'm not going to. No, of course not. Okay. Now, I mean, I guess if you want to say no music existed in the world at all, then life as a concept would be bad. And I would say life as a concept would be less pleasant. But no, if everyone in the world, if there was some virus that spread and everyone in the world was became deaf, and it was going to continue in perpetuity that all of their children would always be deaf, would you say, oh, human race should just die out, there's no point in living, and it would be a mistake to have kids? No. Of course not. It's ridiculous. So I feel like that one was very poorly worded. I mean, I also haven't looked at the chat in a while, so we could all be brains in the jar like the Britisher. Oh, guys. Okay, it is immoral to play Fortnite. No, I have friends I have at least one friend who plays Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. I just can't get into that sort of game. But ice is a moral choice because of global warming. Yeah, we're not going into global warming. You can hear my opinion on that another time. Okay. Okay, there exists an omniscient, omnipotent, and absolute being. Yeah, strongly agree. I believe in the Christian God. Consciousness is immaterial. Again, this is like, well, duh. Oh, okay, I get it. I think it's more like people who might say consciousness is... It's funny, some people would say consciousness is a figment of your imagination, which is kind of like a self-refuting statement, but essentially saying consciousness is not real, it's just neurons firing or whatever, and I think, yeah, that's, oh, wait, yes, okay. Make sure it was is and not is not. Have I mentioned I'm tired? It's been a long week, and this is, I guess I've barely drunk any, because like I said, vodka usually makes me just, or I get I had one night where I mixed a drink before an unpopular opinion stream, and we were getting ready to come on, and I said, "Oh, I'm so frustrated. Because I grabbed the wrong bottle. Two of bottles looked similar, and I meant to. I was going to put mixed rum because rum just makes me very calm and chill. I like that, and I accidentally put vodka in instead because I have coconut rum that looks just like my vodka. And when I tasted it, I'm like, oh no! And I told them, I said, I'm warning you guys, I might be mean tonight. And they're like, what? Seriously? I'm like, yeah. I don't know, but anyway, I'm going off on tangents again. That's not why this is taking so long. That is it. The tangents do help, but yeah, the questions really are just a lot. Okay, my own prosperity matters to me more than the happiness of those around me. See, this is a hard one for me, to be honest. Mainly because I'm just a more reasonable, less emotional. I don't tend to pick up on the emotions of people around me. It took me until I was, probably in my late teens to be able to pick up on any social cues. It was pretty bad. My first roommate, we'd been living together for like a month, and I remembered something my parents had taught us about how to have a happy marriage, and one thing they said, you should once a month sit down with your spouse and just ask them, it's like, hey, am I doing anything that grates on your nerves? Like leaving hair in the drain, or not putting the cap on the toothpaste. So even something, little things. So just say, am I doing anything that grates on your nerves that maybe I haven't even noticed? And just through talking those things through, little things like that, it can help prevent bigger problems later. And I thought, I'd never had a roommate. I thought I should ask her this. And so I went and asked her. I'm like, hey, I just wanted to ask, is there anything I'm doing that, annoys you? And she looked at me and just, okay, wow. And she was like, why were you asking? And I said, and I explained, I was just thinking it would be good and helpful because it could be that I'm doing things that I don't even realize annoy you. So I was just curious. And she's like, wow, well, thank you for asking. And yeah, actually, I've been mad at you. I've been avoiding you for the last week. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm like, no, actually, I hadn't. And I felt terrible saying that, but like, oh, you've been mad at me for a whole week. You've been avoiding me for a whole week. And no, I had no idea. It's like, I'm sorry for not noticing. You gotta tell me these things. So, yeah, happiness of those around me, I'm not gonna know if they're happy, if they're sad. I mean, unless they're crying, I'm probably not gonna know. I mean, people who are really close to me, I can usually read sometimes. But so it's like the happiness of those around me isn't something I feel like I can do anything about. I'm not even going to notice. So it's not that I care so much about myself. I certainly would care more about the people around me. I would sacrifice of myself, of my own things for the people around me. But it's more like I'm just not going to notice. And I'm not trying not to notice. Obviously, I try to notice. But so this one, I just feel like it's, for me, myself, I don't like how it's worded just because I don't feel like it. I hate to say it doesn't speak to me, but I don't know how to. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. But I'm going to leave this one neutral just because I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I said, yeah, you're a terrible person. No, it's, yeah, drunk stream with Liz. I've never been drunk. I actually drink. I do drink alcohol comparatively often, but I drink very little at a time. I've never been drunk. I've been tipsy, I think, like 3 times in my life. I've been to where I shouldn't drive a couple of times, but I've never been drunk. So, okay, people who desire constant success must change their conduct with the times. It depends on what you mean by conduct. You think about Weird Al is the first example that comes to mind. I love Weird Al. He's been around, I think he's in his 50s now, or no, older than that, I think. I don't know how old he is. But he's been making music ever since I was very young, comparatively speaking anyway. And he's been successful over the decades, which is very unusual, especially for a comedian. It's not easy for them to be successful for decades. He never changed himself. He's still making funny music, essentially making parodies of songs, but he makes them about modern songs. He changes the format in which he releases them. His first albums were released on record, and then he moved to cassettes, and then to CDs, and now online. And his latest record was just released for free on YouTube. I mean, with just individual music videos. So you could say his presentation changed, but it's not. But what he didn't change. And someone who's a hard worker. It's like, my dad builds houses. Yeah, the way the rules for building houses change, but what he does doesn't change. What makes him successful is his hard work and his honesty in his work. So that's not going to change. So I'm going to say people who desire constant success, well, you're never going to get constant success. Oh, hang on. He's getting sleepy. I think my camera, you probably can't even see it, but yeah. It's okay. He was trying to find somewhere to sleep, but it's not. It's cold down there on the floor. His bed's upstairs. Anyway, people who desire constant success are insane. You can't get constant success. Life is a series of successes and failures. And if you have more successes and failures, or if your successes are greater than your failures, then yeah, overall you're going to be a success. But nobody's going to get constant success. That's ridiculous. So people who desire constant success, see, looking at this, it's not even people who hope to achieve constant success or people who will achieve. People who want constant success must change their conduct with the times. No, okay, given the way this is worded, people who desire constant success, no, you don't have to do anything if you desire success. I mean, it's like people who want to win the lottery. People who constantly want to win the lottery, they have to spend all their money on it. No, I can want to win the lottery and never spend a dime. I never have, by the way. The lottery, my dad always said, the lottery is a tax on stupidity. It's, yeah. So this one, I'm actually going to strongly disagree. And it's just worded poorly. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, make a video of your feeding routine with your dragons, etc. one day. That would be a bit of a routine. See, I have 3 of them. I have Mama, Papa, and Baby. And they have to be fed separately, because otherwise they tend to get in fights. So it's a couple hours process. You have to make food for the baby, and then put the baby in, let her eat, let her play, and then she can come out, make food for Mama, put Mama in, let her eat, and just chill. Mama doesn't play, she just chills. And then her come out and then make food for Papa, put him in there, hope he eats. Hey, you know I'm talking about you. And then eventually let him out. So they have their beds upstairs, and then they have their pen down here where they eat, and then they have free roam of this room. Once they've eaten, then they can come out and just run around. As long as they don't fight. I have to break up fights sometimes, because Baby and Mama do not get along. I'm hoping they'll eventually... Dragons should be solitary pets. You should not have more than 1 dragon. It's a long story why I have 3. I don't advise it, but yeah, anyway. Regardless, back to... Getting me way off topic. Okay, it is virtuous to live a simple life without an abundance of physical comforts. No, I think that being content with what you have is absolutely essential for having a happy life. So whether you have a lot, whether you have a little, just being content with what you have is good. And living within your means is also essential. As a bookkeeper, let me tell you, you can never out-earn bad spending habits. You can you can be making minimum wage. And somebody said that, oh, you can't support a family making $8 to $10. Oh, yes, you can. You can be making minimum wage, have a stay-at-home wife and 5 kids, and still be living within your income. You can do it. Most people don't know how, and most people aren't willing to make the sacrifices to do it, because it does take sacrifices, but you absolutely can. That being said, you can also be making $1 million a year and being debt up to your eyeballs and stressed out because you can't make your mortgage payments because you own 3 houses and don't get me going. Anyway, so yes, you should be content with what you have. You should learn to live within your means. You should strive to do better in life if possible. But virtuous to live a simple life, no. It's not a bad thing. It's just not virtuous. We are all insignificant in the eyes of the universe. The universe doesn't have eyes. Just no, please. Anyway, I feel like NSO did a very good job of that question. I agree with him entirely. A society without marriage would be better than a society without divorce. And this was one that just confused me. I've seen 2 people take the quiz already, and both of them were just like, no, of course not. And I'm thinking, I can't even, it's hard to wrap my mind around it. It's like, how would, Are you saying free love and, people just hook up with whomever and there is no social contract between couples or whatever? No. No, it's like saying, oh, I don't know, it's like cut thy nose off to spite thy face. It's like, oh, it's terrible when couples break up, so couples should just never get together. That's like saying it's terrible when kids get sick, so let's just kill all kids before they're born. That doesn't even make any sense. So yeah, I'm trying to get how this makes sense in anybody's mind. It doesn't make sense to me. So it just doesn't make sense. Our society defines us. No. A guy growing up on a desert island defines himself. A girl growing up with very moderate autism, who doesn't understand what people think about her, who can't read social cues, who doesn't kind of really understand the world in general, totally defines herself. And people don't understand her either. And like, what is wrong with you? And she's like, I don't know. So no. The society defines a lot of people. I feel like there are people who shape society and people who are shaped by society. So you're going to get both. But our society defines us. Well, who's us and who's our? If you say my society defines me, strongly disagree. So anyway, spirit and matter are two separate entities. I wish they would give better definition. Well, I mean, I guess I could just pull up. I probably will pull up a dictionary later. Anyway, spirit and matter are two separate entities. Yeah? I don't see how that's not yes. Okay, I haven't looked at the chat in a while. Yeah. What do you say? Oh, Liz channels her inner Dave Ramsey. Yes, I love Dave Ramsey. I used to disagree with him on precious metals and whole life, but then in listening to him talk and then personal experiences and finances, I was like, wow, he is absolutely right. I do disagree with him on one issue that I'm not going to say because I agree with him for the vast majority of people. It's kind of like, how should you handle your money? Yeah, a written budget, absolutely. But he says everybody has to have a written budget. And I'm like, for me, it's a waste of time because I always underspend everything. It's just, I never even meet my budget. So for me, it's a waste of time to do a budget because I never go over what it would be anyway. But I'm single. I have no kids. I rarely do it. I rarely leave the house. I have almost no expenses. Hey, you were fine. You were going to sleep. Yeah. I want him to go to sleep. Okay. Minimum wage and a wife. Good luck getting married in this day and age. Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't get me started on that either. Another stream. Okay. I will usually put my family, my community, or my people. My people. Does it mean my race? Or does it mean my people? Never mind. I don't know what that means. Okay. Above my own personal goals. For me personally, I'm very much a loner. I think if I was married with kids, that would be different. Yes, I would be putting my family there. But for me, my family is my siblings, and they're married, and they take care of their own families. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look at what is my sister who's married with kids, and and what does she need before I look at. No, that would be ridiculous. So this question doesn't really apply well to me. And my community, yeah, I don't know. So this one, no. Revolution is sometimes a benefit to society. Yeah. Rarely. Very rarely. But yes. Absolutely sometimes. Yes. Anyway. People have the right... Hang on. Hey. Sorry. He usually will settle down. Okay. People have the right to try to achieve as much pleasure as possible. Assuming that as possible means legally and ethically allowable, yeah. You have the right to do it. It doesn't mean it's right to do, but you have the right to do it. When you say as possible, if you mean as much as they are able to do just of their own volition, regardless of moral, ethical, or legal constraints, then no, you don't have the right to do that. But given the as possible, I'm going to assume they mean within legal, moral, ethical restraints, in which case, yes. But because they don't define it very well, I'm just going to say agree rather than strongly agree. Life is despair. No. No. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. No. Both are important. You need to educate both. They're very important. But to say that's not an education, that's like saying learning math without learning science isn't learning anything. No, you learn math. You don't have a real well-rounded education, but you did learn something. So, no, strongly disagree. Human beings possess free will. Yes. It is good to strive toward fame, wealth, and power. No, it's not good. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not bad. So I'm going to say, yeah. I'm actually going to say strongly disagree because, no, it's like, it is good to choose Terran above Protoss. No. It doesn't matter. I would rather live alone in luxury than in poverty with friends and family. I'm going to stop you right there. I would rather live alone. I'm a severe introvert. I would rather live alone. Yes. Now, long term, it would be almost impossible. Well, okay, I would not have survived without friends and family. That being said, I don't know, I guess live alone. Would I rather be alone for the rest of my life? No. But live alone? Yeah, I like being alone. I don't like being around people. On rare occasions, every once in a while, it's kind of like just on rare occasions, I go up and fill up my social whatever thing, but no, very rarely. So I'm actually going to say agree. I don't care about the luxury part. I'd just rather live alone. Okay, societal progression. Now, if you took out my pets, I'd have a problem with that. Which is funny because I've only had them for 2 years. I have lived all my life until like 2 years ago with no pets. Or, I mean, other than when I was a little kid, I had a couple of pets. I wasn't very good with them. I didn't take care of them. I was not a good pet person. That's one reason I never had pets as an adult, because I was terrible with pets as a kid. But yeah, I figured, all right, I'm old enough. I think I can take care of pets. And yes, now I can. So anyway, so they mean a lot to me now, but I've never been much of a pet person. Personally, I've loved it's kind of like people who say, oh, I don't like kids. I like other people's kids, but I don't want any of my own. Yeah, that's how I was. I loved other people's pets. They were so sweet, but I didn't want any of my own until I got my dragons. And now I'm just like, oh, I can't imagine without them. Well, I mean, I can, but don't want to. Anyway. Oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it through this thing. What's he say? Oh, question 75. Interpreting questions literally or technically is better than interpreting them figuratively or emotively. I don't know. What's this? Oh, yeah, this is why you wanted me to do the quiz, because you know I was just going to go off. So, okay. I hope this is interesting to somebody. Okay. Societal progression should be carried out slowly in small incremental steps. No. I mean, that's how it's generally done, and I will say that is absolutely how it is generally most effective. It's kind of like going on a diet. If you go on one of those crash diets where you lose 50 pounds in 50 days, you're not going to keep it off. I did that at one point. I went on a diet of my own design where I lost 20 pounds in a week. It was incredible. And then as soon as I went off the diet, gained them all back, every single pound. It was useless. The things that I found that helped me to keep weight off is regular exercise and just a generally healthy diet. You very slowly lose weight, but you keep it off. It's the same thing here. Societal progression is most healthily done slowly and in small incremental steps. So I guess when they say it should be carried out, yeah, but there are times when you need revolution. Again, very rarely, but there are times. So no, I'm not going to say it should, because it says it should. There's an understated always. It should be carried out. There's an understated always. If they didn't have that, it should generally be carried out, or should sometimes. Well, if they said sometimes, then yeah. But anyway, because it just says it should be, I'm going to say no, because not always. Pleasure is the highest good. No. I don't care about morality. No, that's It is foolish to let emotions influence your decisions. No. And I went into this before. You absolutely need your emotions, because again, if you have no emotions, then like I was talking to somebody, oh my goodness, okay, just this past weekend, talking to a friend, and he was saying, we were talking, and I can't remember what he was saying, but I said, look, how do you define right and wrong? You know, if you're looking at an event, how do you define whether it's right or wrong? And he said it's by what is best for society, or what is best for, no, what is best for the most people. I said, okay, so are you okay with the Holodomor? He's like, what was that? I'm like, oh, great. I said, okay, so I kind of very, what did I say? I said it's where a government rounded. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to give him all the details, but I said this government decided that this group of people was bad for society. They were damaging society, so they essentially walled off this huge community and left them all to starve to death, men, women, and children. So they just all starved to death. I said, and they did that for the betterment of society to save the rest of the people. And he's like, oh, well, I mean, if they actually did save more people than they killed, then yeah, it was fine. I'm like, what? But see, yes, if you judge by pure reason, think about it. If computers were deciding what's good and bad, they would probably decide based on what's best for the most amount of people. And whoever the guy was in the Avengers, like, okay, let's kill 49% of people in order to save 51, or just make life better for 51% of people. He wasn't even saving lives. He was just trying to make life better. Yeah, if you have no emotions to influence your decisions, then you're going to make pretty rotten decisions. Anyway, okay. Yeah, I like that. I'll give this to, yeah, she's absolutely crushing AA's rate of getting through opinions, even with the tangents. Yeah, because AA, okay, I don't need to say. AA intentionally avoids opinions when he has a larger number of women on stream. Anyway. Yeah, most revolutions are just the same thing because most people in the old leadership stay on and only a few get purged. Yeah. Yes, revolution is evil, but I have a strict definition of revolution. Yeah, it does depend on what your revolution is, yes. Or depend on how you define it, yes. I do believe there are times when the government has become so corrupt that it has to be overthrown somehow, and there may be no, if it's not a democracy, you may not have I don't know. I do believe there are times when there's no choice but to have revolution. Think of the American Revolution. We weren't actually overthrowing the British government. We were just breaking away from the British government. So that was a revolution that was, it was still violent, but it was different. Anyway, it wasn't like the French Revolution where we're saying, oh, we don't like the government, we're going to destroy it. We were just saying, look, we don't like your government, so we're setting up our own. So yeah, there are definitely different forms of revolution. I'm not saying American Revolution was awesome and French Revolution was awful. I mean, in general, yes, but there were definitely good and bad. Well, anyway, not going into that. Okay, so it is foolish to let emotions decide your or influence your decisions. Absolutely not, because yes, you absolutely need emotions to help you to understand whether the decision is right or wrong. Now, emotions should not guide your decisions in most cases. Kind of depends, but you definitely need emotions. I mean, think about it. Deciding who you're going to marry. If you say, I'm not going to let emotion play a part in this, you're asking for a pretty rotten marriage. Just saying. That being said, interestingly enough, arranged marriages have the lowest rate of divorce, from what I've heard. So, not going there. Okay, nothing can be proven to be true. That depends on your definition of proof. And how you define it. How can you prove? Technically speaking, you can't, if you use the strictest definition of the word prove, you can't prove anything. So yeah, nothing can be proven to be true. So I guess it depends. We have good reason to believe a lot of things to be true. So I'm actually going to disagree with this. I'm not going to strongly disagree because it does kind of depend on how you define it, but I'm going to disagree. Okay, a life of fame and fortune is more desirable to me. I like that, to me, that makes it easier to answer, than a happy and meaningful life. There are things influencing my decision here that I'm actually not going to bring up on stream because I just don't want to go there. Yeah. I'm actually going to disagree with this one, mainly because of the addition of fame. I don't want to be famous. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to go into why, but I'm just going to disagree with that one. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. No. Not everyone. Okay, this is two pieces. Be kind. Yes. Everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. No. How much do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Be kind. Absolutely agree. Everyone is fighting a hard battle. Absolutely disagree. So I guess I should say neutral, but... All right, I'm just going to say neutral. I don't like that one. Okay. Oh. Oh. I think... No, you said... Okay, I think AA is only doing it because you said it. You broke the first rule of the internet. Don't feed the trolls. Yeah, well, I stopped. That's one reason I stopped saying it. But in the very first time... The first time when he did it, I started saying he's doing it. And I knew he was doing it. He was doing it on purpose. And everybody else was like, no, he's really not. It's just the way it... And it's like, no, he is totally doing it on purpose. I can... Yeah, anyway, won't go into that. And people who don't watch Unpopular Opinions aren't going to know what we're talking about here, so ignore that if you don't. You should take him on in a rap battle. No, AA he can rap. I can't rap. I never listen to rap. That's like the only genre I don't listen to. I listen to pretty much every other genre. Right and wrong are inherently tied to emotion. I'll say it again. Definitely. Oh, thanks. Nothing can be proven to be true, like the statement, nothing can be proven to be true. Yeah, I don't... Yeah, that's... Yeah, okay. Funnily enough, I disagree with the first clause. Oh, be kind. Yes, well, whether or not you should be kind, that's totally up to the individual as to whether they're going to agree with that or disagree. I think you should be kind. Is anyone's life relative to their experience of it easy? No, but it doesn't mean they're fighting. A lot of people just give up. You see that, you think of the stereotypical welfare queen. She's not fighting. She's not even trying. So, no. Yeah, you think of the druggie who just has essentially given up on life and lives for his next fix. You know, he's not fighting either. So to say, oh, everybody's fighting, no. A lot of people aren't fighting. They've given up. Or the fop in Britain or whatever, it's somebody who's born into wealth and never has to do a day's worth of work. They're not fighting either. They're just like, oh, whatever. So to say, oh, everybody's fighting, no. Probably most people are, but not everybody, no. So anyway, AA can't rap either. I'm reading that from the chat. I didn't say that. But I mean, I don't listen to rap, so I don't know. I mean, somebody says, oh, is this good rap or bad rap? I don't know. I don't know. I know if I like it, but I don't know if it's good or bad. Anyway. Oh. He said AA didn't do an opinion for the same amount of time without a woman present. Okay. Well, I'm not saying he tries when guys are on, but he very intentionally avoided them when he had girls on. Twice in two streams in a row. Anyway, yeah, I'm not fighting hard battles. Yeah, I mean, I fight hard battles, but it's different. Anyway, it comes from being a business owner. That's always a battle. Oof. Anyway, the world of ideas is superior to the physical world. No. You need both. You need both. Just, no. So, no. It is better to live a frugal life. Again, hang on. I am actually going to bring up a dictionary here on, like... Come on. Pardon me, my keyboard is really loud. I always silence it when I'm on Unpopular Opinions. Okay. If I can get it. I don't know if I can. Nope, probably can't. Okay. Frugal. I'm just going to switch back and forth between these two. Frugal. Practicing or marked by economy, as in the expenditure of money or the use of material resources. Costing little, inexpensive. Yeah. So, no, live within your means. Seriously, live within your means. If you make $10,000 a year, live on less than $10,000 a year. If you make $100,000 a year, live on less than $100,000 a year. If you make $1 million a year, live on less than $1 million a year. You don't have to live frugally if you can afford not to. It doesn't matter. Just live within your means. So it is better. No. It depends. So, yeah. Yes, abolish welfare and 99% of the state, to be honest. Yes, absolutely. Would say, yeah, I believe you should get rid of welfare, or at least make them clean the streets. Or no. See, say people who say, oh, they need to work for welfare. No. That's essentially you're just encouraging people to become slaves to the state. Because you're saying, oh, we should have welfare as long as people work for it. So essentially you're saying people need to work for the state and the state will pay them money. How do you think that's going to go wrong? Especially because they'll just continue to increase taxes, saying it's okay because we're paying for people. So then fewer people will work, more people will go on welfare and be working for the state until eventually it's, yeah. Just follow that to its logical conclusion. No. Get rid of welfare, yes. Do not make people work for welfare. That's just going to encourage welfare to continue. Oof, seriously. Okay. Junkie battles not to succumb entirely. It depends. A welfare queen tells herself her oppressed circumstances is a battle. Yeah, but it doesn't mean it is. It means she tells herself it is. Question was about being understanding of people. Okay. Yeah, and I agree. You should be understanding of people. But again, I'm going by the strictest definitions of the words. Not everybody you meet is battling something. All right, moral statements are statements of truth or fact more than they are statements of emotion or desire. Actually, yes. Excuse me. Because whether something is moral or not is a statement of truth or fact. It's not a statement of emotion. It is very closely tied to emotion, and I feel like it's our emotions that cause us to be moral, not our reason in most cases. But whether or not something is moral is not a statement of emotion. It is a statement of truth. Say, this is good, this is bad, that's a statement of fact. So, yes. Scientific research is more important than art and music. Depends. I guess I'm going to say no, disagree on that one, because I don't think it's more important. I mean, it honestly, that's way too broad. It really depends. I would rather live in a wealthy society with little to no morals than live in a poor society with morals and identity. This honestly goes back to the very first question. Well, not the very first. Very early on, does society define me, or essentially does society defines me or defines us something? And I said, no, society doesn't define us. So in this case, I'm totally indifferent. A wealthy society with little to no morals. Society doesn't define me. A poor society with morals and identity. Society doesn't define me. I'm still going to be me no matter what my neighbors are. I'm still going to be me no matter where I live, no matter who, whatever. It doesn't matter. So, oh, do you want to live here or there? I don't care. I'm going to live in my house and do my thing and not interact with a lot of people just because I'm a severe introvert. So I don't care. If you were to say which society is better, then yeah, I would say the poor society with morals and identity is better. We see quite often that very wealthy groups with high wealth and low morals have much higher suicide rates than groups that are poor that have morals and identity. So I would say that in general, yes, the poor society with morals and identity is going to be healthier, happier, comparatively, it's going to be healthier, happier, it's just going to be a better society than the wealthy society with little to no morals. That's going to be much more miserable. It's not going to be a happy one. But where would I rather live? I don't care. So the question is poorly worded. I should all these we, I'm going to kind of translate to I, because who's we? Should focus on the well-being of our community. I should focus on the well-being of my community. No, that goes back to self-government versus community government. I'm responsible for myself. I should be aware of the well-being of my community, and I feel like I should contribute to it, but that's my personal opinion. Yes, but focus? No. I'm going to say disagree because I do believe you should have something to do with it. Our ideas stem from reality. No. Well, I guess again it depends on how you define it. 'Cause for being as logical and non-emotional as I am, I also have a fairly good imagination. When I was young, I would write stories all the time, and I did a thing. I don't know. I made up this thing for my brothers, kind of like a D&D thing, but it was purely imagination. We didn't have a board or anything, but imagine the closest thing I can. I didn't know how Dungeons and Dragons or anything worked. I was raised in a Christian family. We didn't do any of that. But growing up, once I was exposed to those as an adult, I realized, oh, that's basically what we were doing, except we didn't have dice or figurines or anything. But essentially, I created this world, I created this adventure for them to go on, and they created their characters that they imagined their characters, and I would guide them through it. And it was terrible. They open up, they walk into a bar, and they killed their contact. I'm like, what? I mean, he just draws out a sword and kills him. I'm like, why did you do that? He was about to give you a quest. And I'm like, oh my goodness, hang on, I'm going to have to rewrite this. It was a mess. Anybody who's played D&D would probably get that. And again, you can have ideas that do not stem from reality at all. There could be great. I could tell you stories that I came up with, and I had a lot of fun with some of this stuff. My favorite character was, yeah. Anyway, another stream, another time. So no, most ideas, yes, stem from reality. Absolutely. I think in general, the best ideas stem from reality, but ideas don't have to stem from reality. No, otherwise you wouldn't have fantasy. So no, because it just says it's stated as an absolute always. No, I strongly disagree. Okay, our primary pursuit should be our own passions and pleasures. No. Well, I mean, okay, I guess, hold on. No, our primary pursuit should be what's right. And as much as our own passions and pleasures fall within the boundaries of what is right and wrong, then sure, there's no problem with that. But again, should be. No. What if you don't want that? I mean, Mother Teresa, she was not, you could say, oh, she was still pursuing her passion. It kind of depends on how you define it. But no, you should, yeah, saying you should be able to do whatever you want, I guess that's still saying, oh, you should pursue your passions. But again, I'm not saying you should pursue your passions. If you want to pursue your passions, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want to pursue your passions, there's nothing wrong with that either. But then you could say it's not your passion if you don't want to pursue it. I don't know. I feel like it's getting very twisted. I'm going to say no, because I'm not going to say you should. Do whatever you want, which I guess technically would be follow your passions if it's what you want. So it depends. And I haven't looked at the chat in a while, so oh wow. Anyway, sorry. Okay, pause again to look at the chat. Oh, is AA here? Oh, hi. Liz spinning anti-welfare. Yeah. Okay. Oh, 14-minute quiz. Yeah. I told you it said, oh, this should take about 13 minutes. I'm like, yeah, no. Okay. Oh, what quiz is this? This is Dichotomy Test. Dichotomytest.com is what it is. A lot of people were doing it, and I was just watching NSO's stream and commenting on it. And somebody there's like, "Oh, you need to do it." Yeah, I'm like, let me finish what I'm doing, and sure, I'll do it. So this is a request stream, if you will. Okay. Are buskers in a battle? Yes, they are. Okay. Would you still be you if you never talked to anyone IRL or online? See, I'm going to take that very literally. If I lost my voice, would I still be me? Yes. If I never spoke again, would I still be me? Yes. Okay, anyway. If I was, well, I guess communicating online would be more like typing. Yeah, if I just secluded myself from everyone, and I'd probably die, to be honest. I'm not the best company, so if the only company I had was myself, I wouldn't be I'd be happy for a little while. I joke about that. It's like, I can't stay totally alone because I'd make myself miserable. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know how I used to word it. But yeah. I care because I want a good community for my kids to grow up in. Yes, and I will say that a lot of these, well, not a lot, definitely a lot of things in life, a lot of things in my philosophy would be different if I had kids. I don't have kids, so it makes a difference. So, yeah. With as many Harry Potter-based metaphors as we see people making, I agree that many of our ideas don't stem from reality. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's a distinction between good and bad that goes beyond mere human nature. Yes. See, again, this goes back to me personally. What do I personally believe? I believe that man was created in the image of God, created to know right from wrong also. So essentially, you could say human nature is based in on the image of God, which means he has programmed us, if you will, to know good from bad. But it goes beyond human nature, but it is ingrained within human nature. So it doesn't come from human nature. So I'm going to actually agree with this one. The wording makes me kind of want to just agree and not strongly agree, but I think I'm just, yeah, strongly agree. Okay, the primary goal of humanity is the pursuit of knowledge. No. Human beings possess a soul. Yes. Individuals should, in most cases. Sorry. Okay, won't go there. Never mind. Individuals should always act in their own self-interest. No. Again, I don't like anybody saying individuals should always do this. Like, don't tell me what I should and shouldn't do. So anyway, but so should always act in their own self-interest. That's essentially implying that if someone doesn't act in their own self-interest, they're wrong. You shouldn't do that. That's not in your self. No, if you don't want to act in your self-interest, you go for it. You know, if you want to be high all the time and be drunk and destroying your life, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to say you're being stupid, but that's on you. Okay, if you're not hurting anybody, anyway, other than yourself, because yeah, if you believe in self-ownership, private property, if you believe that you own yourself, then you can do pretty much anything you want to yourself. Not to say you should, but anyway, all right. But also, people can't really say you shouldn't. Well, no, that's not true. Okay. I can say you shouldn't act in ways that are detrimental to yourself, but I can't say you should act in ways that are beneficial to yourself. So that's what I'm going to say. Strongly disagree. Okay. That's it. Yeah, you want to see Liz debate a satanic worshiper, not those goths, but a legitimate demon follower. It would make a great stream. The difficulty is there, again, I don't care what other people believe. I mean, I care to some degree, but I'm very much of the opinion you do you. I absolutely believe some things are right, some things are wrong, and I can argue them, but I'm usually not gonna get emotional. And the subjects where I will get emotional, I actually avoid those debates because, as I said much earlier in the stream, I really don't like getting emotional. I really don't. So, yeah. I did this an hour ago. Apparently, I'm even across the board, but super spiritual and ascetic. Yeah, okay. I'm wondering how I'm going to come out because, like I said, I'm a little weird. I feel like, but yeah, I feel like I'm going to be extremes across the board, one way or the other. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I'm just, yeah. That's my guess. My guess is that I think there's like 6 or 8 of them. My guess is that the majority of them are going to be extremely at one end or the other, and then maybe 2 of them will be in the middle. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know which will be which, though. Each person has a function in society. No, not necessarily. I mean, I guess it really, again, goes back to definitions. You think about it. What's a person, a child there are children who are born without a skull. And, I mean, it's a horrific disability, and usually they don't live very long. I mean, maybe a couple weeks at most. No, I think there was one girl that she actually lived to be several years old, and she's still alive. She had the special helmet or something. But I mean, literally born, or like without the top half of their skull, which means their brain is essentially exposed. There's their skin, but there is no guard for their brain. If anything hits them in the head, they die. So it had been that these children wouldn't even survive childbirth, let alone actually be able to live. And more recently, with medical advances, they have actually been able to deliver some babies. I don't know if it's a C-section or whatever, but I mean, you literally have to wrap them in cotton wool. I mean, not literally, but you can't. They just wouldn't survive. But again, like I said, with medical advances, with the special helmet thing, there is at least one girl who I believe is still alive at a couple of years old. We'll see. So, but think of someone like that who essentially is born and lives on life support from the time they're born, and they never come off of life support for the rest of their life, because that can happen too. Would you say that they have a function in society? No. Now, would you say that they shouldn't live because they don't have a function? No. So again, it's when you say every person, no. But in this case, I'm kind of going to say disagree rather than strongly disagree, because in a sense, I would say every life has value. Although there are things, I do believe in the death penalty, so I do believe there are things that you can do which make your life forfeit. You no longer deserve to live. So but even then, you would say your life has value, but we're still taking it. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of like if somebody steals something and you say, okay, well, you have to pay it back. The money that you have still has value, but you have to pay it. You don't get to keep it. So yes, the life still has value, but you no longer get to keep it, so to speak. For people who, yeah, anyway. I don't know if that's confusing or not. Sorry if it is. Okay, there is a way to live that is morally ideal. Yeah, nobody can do it. It's kind of like perfection exists. Yes, no one can achieve it, but yeah, just can't do it. Because nobody's perfect. Nobody can ever do it perfectly. Okay. It is not wise to be affected by strong passions and fears. No. No, I think that you can definitely be affected by strong passions and fears and still have wisdom. It's not wise to be guided constantly by strong passions and fears. I would say it's not even wise to be guided often by strong passions and fears. But ever? No, it's not. Let me say, it is not wise to be affected by strong passions. No. Growing up, I had a strong fear of the ocean. I was terrified of being, I grew up not too far from the beach, and I was terrified of being caught by a riptide. Absolutely terrified. So I made a decision to never go far from shore because I had this very strong fear of riptides. That was not unwise of me. Okay. I mean, granted, if I never went in the ocean at all, you could say, yeah, you're taking it a little too far. But I would go in the ocean. I would just never go very far, and I would always watch and make sure there were people around me who were not being sucked under. If you don't know what a riptide is, you can look it up. Anybody who lives in Florida knows what that is. Anyway. Okay. The universe obeys natural and fundamental laws. I don't know what you mean by that. And again, I mean, the universe is not a conscious entity. So the universe obeys natural. If you mean the universe functions along natural and fundamental laws, yes. The universe obeys. I mean, obey is a conscious decision in general. I mean, well, I mean, not always, but it connotes in the mind consciousness, and the universe is not a conscious entity. So I'm going to interpret this to mean the universe functions along natural and fundamental laws, which I would say I agree. So yeah, I don't like the way this is worded. But I'm going to say I agree because I'm interpreting what they mean. Okay. They should have another box for Liz. Yeah. Okay. Aren't the laws made by God? Yes. God established natural laws. Yes. But again, it's like the universe obeys the law. The universe is not a conscious entity. So, yeah. Oh, AKA physics is a thing. Yeah. See, that's the way I'm choosing to interpret what they're saying. Dean, I'm not even going to read that out loud. No. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm okay with dark humor, but you don't joke about phobias. I don't know. There's certain. I have a few phobias, not many, just a few, and that's not funny. Okay, people cannot. It would be funny if I wasn't scared of riptides. Just okay. Anyway. People cannot be truly altruistic. This one, again, I'm going to have to look up what is the definition of, hang on, altruistic, because I actually had an argument on Twitter with somebody about altruism. He said, people can't be altruistic. And I said, well, here's what altruistic means. And he's like, no, that's not what altruistic means. Like, well, what does it mean? And he gave this weird definition that, yeah, it was not impossible for people to be it. And I said, okay, you're just defining the word in such a way that it's not possible to be that. He says, see, this is why people can't be altruistic. Like, because you're defining the word. It's like, if you say altruistic means unicorns, then yeah, people can't be unicorns. Anyway, regardful of others, beneficent, unselfish. See, yes, people can absolutely be regardful of others. They can be beneficent. the argument would come in, can they be unselfish? And I think they can be, again, depending on how you define unselfish. So that's another one. Let's see what that one is. I use these weird things. I mean, like I use DuckDuckGo for searches. I use WordNick for, yeah, it's anyway. Generous. Yeah. If you define unselfish as generous, can people be generous? Yes. Not selfish, selfless, generous, altruistic. Not selfish, not unduly attached to one's own, not unduly attached to one's own interest. Generous, regardful of others, not greedy, disregarding your own advantages and welfare over those of others. Yes, people can be that. So it really does go back to definitions. So when you say people cannot be truly altruistic, how do you define it? By the way I understand it, I like those definitions. That's what I usually use when I'm talking altruism. So yeah, they can be. So in this case, I'm going to say strongly disagree. But again, it does go back to your definitions. If you say unselfish, or if you say altruism, as some people say, is defined as being unselfish, which is defined as being totally disregarding your own self-interest in any way possible, physical, mental, psychological, at all, then no, that's essentially, it means you cannot make a conscious decision. The only way you can do this is if you don't make a conscious decision to do that. It's like, that's literally how this guy was, not literally, that's figuratively how this guy was defining it. And I'm just like, well, obviously I don't believe people can do things that they don't choose to do. I mean, well, they can do things, you know, without having some mind control. They can do things they don't want to do, but person without something outside literally controlling them, then, and it is literal that time, not figuratively, you know, they can't do something that they don't choose to do. You know? Well, I guess that's at least not something altruistic. Like, I mean, I've done it before where I get up and walk into the other room and realize I walked into the wrong room. I'm like, oh, wait, I meant to, hold on, where am I? You know, when you're thinking about something else and you're walking, you realize, oh, wait, I thought I was going to this room and I went to that. Focus, stop thinking about everything else. So you can do things like that. But yeah, as far as, it depends on your definition. Anyway, what's his... Oh, I hate when people equivocate. Just, yeah. Okay. Okay. Lofty ideals such as justice and liberty are of great importance to me. I don't consider justice and liberty to be lofty ideals. I consider them to be normal. But that's me. So, hold on. Lofty ideals are of great importance to me. No. Justice and liberty are of great importance to me. Yes. See, this is where it gets difficult. I don't like the phrasing. I'm just going to kind of say, I'm going to say agree, because, again, lofty ideals, not really. Justice and liberty, I don't feel are lofty, so yes, but I'm just going to say agree. Authority must always be ridiculed. No. It depends on who the authority is. No. Authority, and even when people say, oh, authority must always be able to be ridiculed, it's like, again, it depends. It depends. There are some authorities that, yeah, you shouldn't, and there's no point in ridiculing them. So anyway, oh, you must ridicule. It's like, okay, growing up, was it very important that you made fun of your mom? Most people would say no. Now, they'd say, I should be able to make jokes about my mom, but to say to every child, you should make fun of your mom. It's like, no. And anyway, it's sad because in this nowadays, most people would say, oh yeah, you can totally make fun of your dad. And most people would say, no, you shouldn't make fun of your mom. I believe you should, you know, I don't think kids should make fun of either unless, but I do feel like dads have a lot more self-depreciating humor than moms do. So it's easier to joke about your dad because he's probably going to be joking about himself anyway, whereas mom's probably not. And if you joke about her, you're liable to get in trouble. So it's not that I think one is more important than the other. It's that I think, well, men are funnier than women. So I'll just say that. Okay. Without faith in a God, we cannot be content. It kind of depends on what you mean by content. In general definitions, then no. I mean, yeah, you can totally be content without faith in God. Again, I think you're wrong, but can you be content? Yeah, totally. So strongly disagree. Emotion, I mean, can you be content when you're high? Yes. It's not healthy, but you can do it. Okay. Emotion cannot be discounted when making decisions. Oh yeah, it can. There are times when it shouldn't be, but there are also times when it should be. Trust me, I'm thinking about personal examples right now. None of them pleasant. I'm trying to think of an example that's not personal, that's not going to make me upset to give it. I'm just not going to, yeah. Emotions can totally be discounted. And sometimes should be. Not always. Probably not even usually. But yes. Okay. We can never perceive true reality. I think, okay, this is an absolute statement that is very, what would be the word? Very extreme, to be honest. True reality. And think about it. Anybody watching this, if you're actually watching, you can see I wear glasses. I don't have perfect vision. Believe it or not, nobody has perfect vision. Everybody's vision ends somewhere. You have 20/20, you have 20/30, you have 20/10. Nobody has perfect vision. Nobody has perfect hearing. Nobody has nobody has perfect senses. And I believe the same thing applies to the brain. Perception. Nobody's perception is perfect. Yes, you have some that are much, much, much better than others, but nobody's perception is perfect. No human perception is perfect. So we can never perceive true reality. I would actually agree with this only because I believe that perception is the same as eyesight. You're never going to perceive anything perfectly. You're going to perceive it well enough. See, I can see well enough to function. I can see very well with my glasses. Most people can see very well. They can hear very well. They can smell very well. They taste and feel. So we perceive reality very well. We perceive what is very, very close to true reality, if you will. But given the statement, even the way it's worded, I would say no. Again, because I believe our perception is like our senses. It's never going to be perfect. It's not that true reality doesn't exist. It's that our perception of it is never perfect, just as our senses are never perfect. So I'm going to agree. I'm not going to strongly agree because I do believe true reality exists. And in theory, you could have someone with perfect perception. I just don't think we will ever have that. So I'm going to say just agree. Yeah. It's going to show Liz as a hardline monk. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hardline on several, and then in the middle one, maybe two. Altruism means hating yourself. See, again, yeah, so it goes back to how do you define altruism? Yeah, hating yourself means not doing anything you want to do. Means, yeah. Okay. Yeah, anyway. We should help those who are struggling in our society. Again, the should. No. Kind of goes back to, like I said, I'm a bookkeeper. I get to look at people who have money or who have businesses or who are making money, who are spending money. I get to look at money all day, every day. Well, not all day, every day, but, a lot. And there are people who are struggling because of their own bad choices. There are people who are struggling because other things happened. Sometimes businesses fail because of outside influences. Sometimes businesses fail because of inside decisions. And there are individuals who have money, who something bad happens, they lose their job, and so they're struggling with money because of something outside. Their company shut down, or their child got sick with cancer, or they got sick with cancer and couldn't work anymore. So there are all sorts of outside influences that cause people to struggle where they need help. But then there are inside influences that cause people to struggle, and it's their own fault. So we should help those who are struggling. No, it depends on why are they struggling. Is it their own fault? And what are they struggling for? Antifa is definitely struggling against, they're struggling against a lot of people. Should we help them because they are struggling? No. The fact that you're struggling doesn't mean you need help. What are you struggling against? What are you struggling for? And why are you struggling? So we should... Sorry. So when I'm on streams with other people, I use Google Hangout so I can just mute myself if I cough, but here I'm using... Actually, I think I can. Oh, I can mute myself here. Okay, I need to remember that. I've never tried it in this thing. Where was I? Oh, yes, so we should help those who are struggling within our society. I'm just going to disagree because, in general, it really depends. It depends on why they're struggling and all of that. So sometimes, yes, but... And again, even the should. I'm just going to disagree. I'm not going to strongly disagree, but I'm going to disagree. Uh, okay. Oh, wow. I'm not hardline any of them. I thought I was going to be like 100%, or no, almost. Okay. Materialism versus spiritualism. Yeah, I figured I'm like much more spiritualistic. Ego versus altruism. I'm like almost in the middle. That's kind of funny. Idealism versus pragmatism. Again, almost in the middle. I mean, I think if you've got 40 to 50 where it's in between, that's about in the middle. Hedonism versus asceticism. That's interesting. I mean, okay. I feel like that's one I would be in the middle, but I guess I'm more aesthetic than... Yeah, anyway. Nihilism versus moralism. Yeah, this is one I figured it was going to be like 100% or something. Exactly 50-50. Rationalism versus romanticism. Exactly 50-50. That's amazing. Has anybody else gotten 50-50 on any of these? Okay, and that's funny. Skepticism versus absolutism, which is what you'd think. You know, I think you normally think religion versus atheism, and yet I'm pretty close to 50-50 on that. So what is... Oh, monotheism? Oh. I never... Did anybody else taking the test, I didn't really notice what they had. So they're saying I'm essentially monotheistic, I guess. Okay. That's pretty cool. I thought it was going to be mostly hardline. Oh my goodness, that is funny. Honestly, I don't know. I guess if I was to predict, what I should have done is pulled this up for somebody else and predicted what I thought it was going to be. Materialism versus spiritualism. I would have expected that to be, well, I guess more towards... No, I guess I would have expected that to be pretty hardline spiritualism, because I'm just totally not materialistic. I feel like I'm often interpreted as being materialistic. That's really funny. I mentioned I got engaged, and my boyfriend broke it off because he thought I was too materialistic. And I'm like, what? And even my family, I remember I loved, one of my favorite things that my dad ever said to me, was when I talked to him about it after, because I said, look, hey, you know, we broke up, we're not engaged, we're not going to get married. And I explained, I said, well, and here was what he said. And my dad he nodded and he said, well, you know, Liz, quite often when people, when people criticize us, quite often, even if it's not something that really is true, we can still learn something from it. It's something where you did something, or you have something that some image you're projecting or something like that appears that way. So quite often we can learn from criticism, even if the criticism itself is not valid, is not true. We can still learn from it because this is the way somebody perceives us or whatever. And he paused for a second. He said, that's not true in this case. You are not materialistic. And everybody was like, yeah, where did he get that from? So, I mean, it's pretty bad when you can break off an engagement, and I'm laughing by the end of the day, I was laughing about it. I'm like, I can't believe he thought that. But anyway, it was, yeah. I'm not a very emotional person. It's sad. I felt bad for him, but I mean, I was just like, I can't believe he thought that about me. But anyway, so yeah, I'm totally not materialistic. But at the same time, I feel like I appear that way because I'm always talking about money. I'm always talking about, you know, living within your means and all of that. So, but it's because it's my job. But I don't care about having money. I just care about people being responsible with money. That's a big deal. So I guess I should have expected that. But egoism versus altruism. That's when I would have expected to be far more altruistic, because I think personally I am far more altruistic. I'm far less egoistic. It's just that I believe people should be free to do whatever they want. I don't live that way, but I think you should, or should be able to. Idealism versus pragmatism. That's interesting. See, I feel like that should have been a lot... Anyway. Hedonism versus asceticism. Again, I'm surprised. I really thought I was going to be hardcore whatever. Anyway, there we go. Oh, yeah. Liz is a confirmed centrist. Yes. Oh, boy. Yeah, NSO had the same thing. Oh, wait, I don't know if he had the same... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, NSO, he and I agree on a lot of things, but he used to be a Christian. He's not so sure he is now, and I am, like, hardcore Christian, so that's one thing that doesn't really mesh very well. Plus, I think... I don't know how old he is, but I think he's a lot younger than me. Anyway, yeah, sorry. I'm responding because he says NSO and Liz, match made in heaven. I'm like, yeah. That's sweet and all, but I think he's a lot younger than me. I don't know. If he wasn't, then yeah, I mean, he's definitely a really sweet guy. He's somebody I would... Ooh, sorry, Blaze is waking up. Anyway. Okay, well, that's all. No, 2 to 3 hours of my life well spent. Yeah, it's almost 2 hours for a 13-minute quiz. Okay, well, that was fun. I need to get back to work, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.